So I'm going to walk us through how to build one of these. Then I will also have this available for download in case you don't want to build it all yourself. Let's create a new composition. We're going to call this tutorial. I don't know. Just do that. We're going to copy that text just so we have it for later. Up here in the motion graphics template, we're going to choose this new composition that we just made. So that'll be all blank, and we're going to put that title up in there. Let's just call it 01. Now, we're going to start with creating a new solid. That's super duper basic. Let's make this a little bit more vibrant, colorful, just to have something a little bit more to show. All right, new shape layer. Let's go ahead and in the properties, or whatever it's called, we're going to add a rectangle. And we're going to make the size be 1920 by 1080. So that's going to be a 16 by 9 video for our purposes. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a fill. Let's make it, we'll make it off-white. That's fine. And this is going to be a property that we're able to change later, but we can change the roundness and have that editable in the motion graphics template. But for now, we're just going to keep it super basic. There's probably a lot of ways that you can do this. I'm just going to use this proportional grid here, and I'm going to use that to line my rectangle up. So let's go into here. Let's just change the position a little bit. I want them to be lined up. I didn't check to see exactly how far I want it to be, but I think I want them to be for these squares. So that's 920 at 1080. Cool. All right, so I'm going to go up to here. I have a tool. Where is it? I don't have the tool. Okay, I'm gonna hit Y. I'm gonna move this anchor point over to the very edge right here. If it'll lock. No, please just lock. I want you precise. I need precision here. Okay, so what this is gonna allow me to do is from that point, I can change the scale down here. So that way it's always aligned with that center. And I'm gonna scale it up to, let's do 95. Yeah, that gives us a nice border on this side and this side. We can always change that as we go along. So I'm gonna duplicate this. Let's call this screen 1, and then this one screen 02. So I'm gonna open up the position of screen 2, and I am going to set it all the way over here. Probably use some more exact numbers to get these lined up a little bit better, but I'm just gonna do it manually because right now that just feels a little bit easier to do. And that's gonna be pretty close for us. We can always go back and change some things if we want, but again, hitting Y, moving this anchor point over to here. And this is just like some of the tedious like prep work, and I don't have it streamlined because I'm hopefully not making these all of the time. Hopefully I'm actually getting to use them. Next that we do, we're going to go to effects and presets and go and find the effect set matte. We're going to add that to our medium gray background, and we are going to select screen 01, and we are going to invert it. And we are going to hide that. So now let's turn off the grid here, and we'll turn off the action safe. If you put on the transparent background, you can see that that screen now is see-through. It's got an alpha channel on it. So that's exactly what we want. We're gonna go back to here. This is gonna be set. Oh, we don't, whatever. We don't need to rename that. That's fine. We'll do this and we'll select the second screen. So now we got 2. And make sure that you turn off the visibility for both of these layers. That's just going to stay off. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add some text here. Let's do screen name 01. I don't know. Maybe you can be a little bit more creative with how you label these, but this is what I'm doing for now. We're going to put this down here somewhere. Let's have it. Let's bring back those grids. You can place these really wherever you want. I'm not really a precision kind of person most of the time when it comes to this sort of thing. You're stuck with me doing it like this. And then we're going to take this second guy. I think I had it in like 3 cubes on the other one. So that's close. Let's get into the fun bit here. I really want to add that checkbox to be able to move the screen name from inside the box to outside of the box. That's the most fun thing here. So I'm just going to create a new adjustment layer here, and we're going to call this control box. For now, we can rename it a little bit to be more precise. We're going to go into effects and presets, and under expression controls, do the checkbox control. Select your control box adjustment layer and click the checkbox up here. That'll make sure that this locks up here. All right, now we're going to go back to the screen name, go to the position under transform, and pick up that to the checkbox. Okay, now to the fun part. We're going to type a few things out. So down here, we're going to do if, and we're going to do parentheses. Delete that second one, go all the way here to the end, add that back in, back arrow, and in here we're going to do greater than 0. Arrow forward, and then we're going to do brackets, and then we're going to take this position. So let's do 99, comma 1560. Perfect, cool. Down here we're gonna write else, brackets, 99, comma, let's do 1670. Now it'll move either inside or outside of that. So we can take this expression, go up to our second screen name, go to position, and we're at 1999 in the X. So we're going to do this, swap this in for 1999, swap in 1999. So then checking on and off moves both the names up and down. We can keep that. If you wanted to have those parameters controlled separately, just have 2 different checkbox controls, either here or on the same layer. You could have another checkbox and just have those controlled separately. So let's do checkbox control for screen names. Sweet. So that is just a sample of kind of using that for ease of use. Then what we can do is we can just take this checkbox control into our motion graphics panel, and then we'll be able to click this on and off inside Premiere and change that. I'm going to go to this background, and I'm going to type in fill in the effects control, and I'm going to this, and that is insane. I don't know. What do we want to do? We want to do like a orangey red. That's so, we don't need to do anything that crazy. Let's just do like a bluey green. I don't know. You pick. It's up to you. Totally up to you. Then we're going to take this color. Oh, we can't do it. Open. Effects. All these things. Take the color here and bring that. I like this at the top because that'll probably be one of the first things that I change. This will be screen name position in out of the screen. So there's a couple ways that we could set this up. We could do a group and have this be screen 1, and then have another one that's screen 2. and keep things a little bit more organized, which can be nice. Let's solo supported properties down here. I want to go down into my screens, and I want to add roundness into my folders. I want to be able to customize roundness for this and have those work. And I don't know if I need to do them separately. I could, I think what I'll do is I'll have this be again on its own, and I think I'm going to parent the roundness of screen 2 to the roundness of screen 1, and that way I can control these, because I'm going to want them to be consistent all the time anyway. I'm not going to really ever want that to be like one to be square and one to be rounded. So let's just stick those together, and that'll be easier to manage. The next thing that we're going to be able to want to do is customize the text. So let's take the source text from each of the names and put them into their appropriate folders. I'm just going to leave the name as is. Over here in Edit Properties, make sure that you can enable all of these so that we can edit those in Premiere Pro. And also, let's be able to control the color of the text all from one box. So I'm going to go ahead and make a new adjustment layer. I'm going to add a fill to this, and I'm going to turn off the adjustment layer. I don't want it to be I don't want it to render out. And I might just make it a guide layer, and that means that even if it's on, it's not going to actually go out in a render, just to kind of keep things a little bit safer. And I'm going to do call this text color. So for each of the screen names, I'm going to add a fill color. We'll just do an RGB, and I'll lock this layer's fill color up here, and then parent this up to that color for each pieces of text. So I'll do that same thing here. Parent that up to here, and I'll change this to white for now, and then that's perfect. And I can change that up here, and this will be text color. All right, let's add a drop shadow to each of these for some visibility options later down the road. So for each of the text, I'm going to add the drop shadow. I think for now, I'm just going to do it separately, because maybe the drop shadow's too pronounced, and maybe there's not enough in the other. I want to be able to control those separately. So for each of these, I'm going to open up the drop shadow, and almost never want that. Bring all of these up into here, and then I guess that was for screen 1. Let me move all those. My bad. Swap these around, go like this, go into here, this to be under here. All right. Screen 2, effects, drop shadow, select all of these, and pull up into here. Okay. Make sure that's in. Organize that. Okay, how's that looking? Screen 1, screen 2. Cool, cool. All right, so we can change the background color. We can change the font color. We can change the screen roundness. We can move the position of both the names. We could add a transform to each of the pieces of text, just to be able to have a little bit more control in Premiere if we need. So in screen 1, we can add this position. So we could call this manual position adjustment. And we can do the same thing for the second piece of text and bring that position under here. Remember, like Ben Marriott always says, always label your layers. And that'll just give us more refinement. The last thing that you want to have happen is be in Premiere and not be able to change something that you really need to be able to change. We can do something else fun. Let's do a, let's find a 4-color gradient and let's add that to this background. And I don't like these colors straight off the bat. A really nice thing to do, you can make an animation template for the color. If there's particular colors that you always like to use, that can be really nice, just so that you don't have to do this every time. So let's, like, I don't know, blend that a little bit. Just makes it a little bit more interesting. This is not the best, but we're just going for demonstration purposes right now. So if you turn it off, you can see the original background. If you turn it on, you have this 4-color gradient. So what we could do, if we wanted, is we could control this opacity with a checkbox. So let's do another adjustment layer, and let's do gradient on off. Okay, we'll add a correct box. How do you type? Add a checkbox control to this, have it be on and off. We're going to go into this solid, go to our 4-color gradient. We'll go into the opacity and add this, pick whip that up to this checkbox. And again, the same thing that we did before, add the parentheses at the beginning and the end. If this, and then in between these 2 last parentheses, we'll do greater than 0. It'll equal 100. And then else this 0. Okay, that's a little unexpected. Why is it doing that? This comp layer, checkbox control, else. But that should only be affecting this color gradient. If I take this off and do opacity. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder if I'd have to have a background layer that didn't have this on it, so that then when I go to the effect here, then I see that background. Okay, all right, problem solved. We did some problem solving. I'm not sure how exactly you do that on one layer, but that's fine. Let's call this 4-color gradient background, and then this one just the background. So that's cool. So we can always have that solid background if we want to, but then we can turn on or off this gradient effect, which could be really, really fun if you wanted to have that. So let's have the gradient on off here, on off. And let's add a group, and we're gonna do gradient colors, background gradient colors. Okay, and then in here we'll go to the positions and the color, and we will start adding these in. just like that. And I know that this is a lot to do, but once you do this, you can customize it as much as you want and never, for this, rarely have to come back into After Effects, if ever, for this particular thing. Let's make this look how we want it to look in our editor in Premiere. Do that, perfect. Let's set the poster time for this. That's awesome. I'm gonna export this. It's gonna save my project file. Okay, it's gonna export, tell you all the things, press OK. That's awesome. Let's come back into Premiere. Go to our Essential Graphics, go to Browse, and I'm gonna import that Mogurt right into here. We can drag this onto our timeline. Okay, that's looking pretty fancy. Now, what you didn't see with this one that I had going on here was I have the images scaled down. So that can be a pain to line up every time. So let's make a preset in Premiere for that, for whenever you use it. So for this one over here, I actually did make a preset for this. And so each of these clips have a crop and a transform. The crop has a 25% crop on either side of it, and then the transform repositions it to a quarter of the way and 75% across the screen. So we're gonna make something similar to that, but for these 19 or the 16:9 clips. Okay, so over here, let's bring our clips over like this. This was just my my raw clips that I got in here. I think that should be, what is this? So in our effects, we're gonna let's do a transform first. Again, if I can spell. Add that to the top. Which one is that? Are you already resized? I thought I didn't resize you. Not sure exactly what's going on here. Oh, I already have the effect applied. That's what I'm doing. I'm being silly. I'm a silly bean. Silly bean. All right, we want the scale to be 50% for starters, and then we can start tweaking it. And we'll just find kind of our position and work backwards from there. So if we do, again, this is just an alpha channel. We're peering through a window, so it's not cropping any of the footage. Okay, perfect. Let's copy this, paste it to the second one. I'm gonna move it over in the other direction. I have this LUT on here. I'm gonna turn that, position this up. 1960, perfect. So this sequence is 3840 by 2160. So let's go to our calculator. Let's do 3840 divided by 4. It's 960. So the center point is gonna be a quarter of the way across the screen here. So that's gonna be, that center point is gonna be at 960. So 960 times 3 is going to be, this is where the center point of this. So 2880, we were almost there, 2880. And that's if you want to get super precise about the positioning of that. So we're not going to add a crop to this. I don't think that we actually need to. We can just save this. We'll go to save preset. There we go. We're going to call this, I'm going to do Ben zoom fancy zoom crop. I'm just going to call it a crop, even though I'm not actually cropping right. And then for the other one, I will save that preset as the same thing, except call that the left, and that'll be there. So then, if I go into my presets, that's right there, and I can add that straight away to make my life easy. Let's do it for fun right now. So I want this one to be on the right. So we'll add that one. And I want this one to be on the left. And we'll add that one. And then we could just go up here, add our motion graphics template, make it visible here, and boom, voila, we have our fancy zoom look. If you followed along, that's awesome. I really appreciate it. If you just want to download the Moger, I have that available too in the description below. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this was helpful in some way and not an absolute waste of your time, and you will see me in my next video. Okay, take care. Bye.